Feel free to put in chat your name and your position or what you teach, so you can get to know other participants in our workshop today. But welcome back for some of you who have been with me over the course of the last month and a half. Today we are going to go over getting you ready to take the Google Level 1 certification exam. Now, if you have been with me over the course of the last week or so, today I'll be touching on some of the same things. I'm going at a faster rate. So just wanted to let you know that on the YouTube channel, I do have all of the recorded sessions from last week. So if I go too fast or you want to go more in depth over an app, then you're more than welcome to go back and look at some of the recordings. So going to go ahead and get started here, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Again, when I share my screen, you can exit full screen, so you can have two separate windows open on your screen at a time if you would like to have another app open as well. And if you're not for sure, I'll walk you through it here. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And sometimes if you see that I'm not looking at the camera, that means I've got two screens here, so I might be looking at my other screen. All right, so hopefully you can see my screen right now. We do have Elizabeth back with us as well, so we're glad to have you, Elizabeth. We missed you on Friday. If you were any participants who were with us on Friday, we wanted to let you know, Elizabeth, that we missed you, and some other teachers stepped up and helped out as well.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So today, again, we are going to go over the Google Level 1 certification exam prep. And if you've been with us before, you know the routine. If you haven't, I'll walk you through it here. Here on slide 2, you will need to do the sign-in sheet. This will enable you to get your PD hours for today. I do have the link to the slide deck here on the screen, and then also it's in the chat room. And I think Elizabeth has been putting it in again, or other people have.
Yes.
If you haven't. Perfect, thank you. So you will notice that in the chat room, you won't see all of the chat messages before you join. So that's why if you've been here for a little bit with us, you may see the same message over and over until we get everyone the slide deck. And again, if this is your first time with us, all you have to do is go over to chat. If you don't know where chat is, it's at the bottom of your screen, and you can see the chat messages. And then all you have to do then is copy and paste the link into a new tab. So I'm going to go to my personal account here. And what I've done, I've copied the link, and then I pasted it up here in the URL, or in where you put the URLs. It's called the Omnibox, meaning that you can search within the Omnibox and not just put URLs there. So if I hit enter, then I've got my slide deck for today. So then what do I do with this slide deck if I want to come back to it later? A couple different things you can do. You can bookmark this, and right up here where at the right, to the right of the Omnibox, you can click on the star. When you click on the star and you bookmark it, you can bookmark it to your bookmark bar. You can bookmark it to a folder. I'll go ahead and put it to my bookmark bar. And as you can see, it's not there. If I click on these arrows right here at that far right, it is there. The reason it's not there because my bookmark bar is full. So I could do a couple things. I could right click on some things up here. If I don't need any longer, I can delete, or I can just keep saving to my bookmark bar. And you know, if I have 10, 20 more things saved, it'll just create a list here. So know that with the bookmark bar. Let me show you something else with the bookmark bar. For those of you who are familiar with the extensions here to the right of the Omnibox, we can do that on the bookmark bar now, and we can delete the names of things. But in this case, I might not want to delete the names of some of these slide decks that I got last week. I could shorten the names if I want by just right-clicking on any of the bookmarks and hit edit. And when I hit edit, then I can edit the name of it. So if I wanted to edit the name of this, I could. I'll just put forms, I'll delete that, and I'll show you then what it will do then. It just changes the name right here. If I wanted to completely delete the name, I could, and then that would free up some space on my bookmark bar. So as you can see, I've got two of the same bookmarks up here. Again, I can right click on it, I can hit delete, it deletes it, it frees up space, or it should have, maybe I didn't hit it. There we go, and it deletes up space on my bookmark bar. Again, if I know what this color G is, then I could delete the name. Right click on the bookmark, hit edit, and at edit is where then I can delete the name, and then it frees up space. I just have the little G, the icon there. So very similar with the extensions we can now do on the bookmark bar if you would like to. Another thing you could do here with this, if you don't want to put it on your bookmark bar, if you want to put it in your drive, all you have to do to add this to your drive is you should have a triangle at the top of your screen with a plus sign. Anytime you see that, you can add this to your drive. So click on that, and I can go ahead and just put it in my drive if I want. If I know the folder I want it to go into, if I want it to be organized, I can organize it right from here. I can go right down here to a new folder. I can create a new folder here, or if I know that I want it to go into my Google Workshop folder, I can just click on that and I can add the shortcut there. So lots of different ways to organize. You do what works best for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So hopefully those couple of tips will help you get organized and have access to the slide deck later if you would like to view it later. And then on 2D here, I've got an evaluation at the end of the workshop, or whenever, if you could fill that out, I would greatly appreciate that as well. And then step 3, you will be getting an ISBE evaluation, again, usually between 24 to 96 hours that you'll need to fill out then to get your evidence of completion. I know the people who were with me Friday, usually on Fridays, the evaluations don't go out until Monday. So if you were here with me Friday, anybody out there already got their evaluation to fill out? No, okay. So I just see someone asked in chat, since I was looking at my screen, is there a time limit to filling those out? I don't know that answer. Usually my suggestion, as soon as you get it, if you have time, get it filled out. So then you can get your evidence of completion to add to your Ellis account. So again, if you have questions on that, you can let Elizabeth or myself know, or Brian Bates. He's in charge of helping out with the evaluation. So you could let him know too if you do have his email. If not, feel free to send it to Elizabeth or I. Again, I've got a printable PDF file, so some of you would like to print the slide deck. You can do that by clicking on this, and then at the end of the workshop, you can download the chat if you'd like. If you forget, I'll try to remember to add it here to the slide deck. And usually when Elizabeth's on with us, she usually does that, but between her and I, we'll hopefully get that done. And then also, the workshop recording will be at the YouTube channel. There you can click on and access it there if you need to go back to it. So hopefully that was our housekeeping things to cover. If you still have questions over it, feel free to put it in chat. Or again, if you're knowing our workshop style is we will stay on afterwards to answer any questions as well, and or use the chat during the presentation. So again, if this is your first time with us, my name is Lisa Schwartz. This is my 21st year in education, and I taught 19 years at Quincy Public Schools. I taught various subjects, 6th through 9th grade. Majority of my time I did teach computers and computer science. And then the last 2 years, I have been working with the Learning Technology Center and as a regional ed tech coordinator. So this green area here on the map, I work with 10 ROEs here in Central Illinois and the school districts that are within those ROEs. So welcome, we're glad you're here. And Elizabeth, if you'll take a minute here to introduce yourself as well.
Sure. I am Elizabeth Byam, and I am an instructional technology coach up in Northern Illinois on the state line between Illinois and Wisconsin. I'm assigned to 3 school districts, and it looks a little different in each of my school districts that I'm assigned to, but just doing some ed tech things with my teachers. My background is teaching 4th grade. I taught 4th grade in Fulton, Illinois for 10 years, and this is my first year as an instructional technology coach. So, and when I'm not with my teachers, then I'm doing things like this with Lisa and some of our other colleagues that do the same thing. So feel free to reach out, and I will be trying to get back to you in the chat as quickly as possible if you have any questions. Otherwise, I can stop Lisa and ask questions as well for her to demo throughout.
All right. Well, glad to have you back with us today, Elizabeth. So
I'm glad to be back. Thanks.
Yes. Again, if you haven't heard of the Learning Technology Center, here on slide 5, this talks about the mission, but again, we're trying to help provide different learning opportunities out there for educators. Slide 6, I do want to touch on this for a minute here. There are different resources out there that you might not be aware of. Take time to take a look at these. And the monthly newsletter, I don't know, this is where you can click to sign up to get a monthly newsletter in your inbox. We've got the Twitter, if anybody's out there on Twitter, online learning, events pages. So this is where we're got different workshops coming up listed there. And then I do want to talk about the LTC community. So with this community, it's kind of similar to like a Facebook group if you're on Facebook. And what you can do here is join the community. It is free. Some states do have a community that you join, but there is a cost to it. So this is nice to have this here in Illinois. And over here within the community, you can be members of different groups. So if you're needing to know more about Google, you can become a member, or you're using Google, you can become a member of Google. Microsoft, here we've got here just classroom technology, Technology Central, educational leadership. So you can choose which groups to join. You know, if you don't use Apple products, you might not want to be a member of the Apple group because you don't have any interest to that. So let me just show you here on the Google group here. So for those of you who were with me last week for any of the trainings, we found out the Google exam is changing. So you guys are good to, hopefully, if you're ready to take the exam, you'll fill out the voucher and you can take the exam here under the current system that Google has, and I'll explain that a little bit more. But right now, last week, they changed it over and they kind of really blocked people out of getting it from taking the exam the way that we have been for the last few years. Well, over the weekend or Friday night, they changed it and they opened it back up. So I'll explain that more. But anyway, posted a question here and I had a couple people respond, and you can see the responses. So here it's just another platform to reach out to people. If you're having problems, you have a question, you want to see, hey, what other teachers are doing around this topic, it's a place to share and help each other out. So again, in your free time, feel free to check that out, the LTC community. All right, so today with our agenda, what we are going to do, we're going to talk about why certification. And again, some of you, if you were with me last week, you might see some of this overlap. And, you know, feel free if some of this is overlapping to work ahead in the slide deck to look at the challenges, or to look at things that you might be unsure of. Go back to the training center as well and make sure you're asking questions today that we can help you with. So after I explain about, you know, why should I get certified, I also have my Google certification slide deck that I've linked here. You can also access the recording on the YouTube channel as well to see that workshop if you want to see what we talked about live. Or it's not live, it's a recording, but if you'd like to see that as you're looking through the slide deck. We'll look at the level 1 training that Google has for us, and then here are the apps that we will cover. Again, if you were with me last week, we went a little bit more in depth in some of these apps. Today is going to be an overview. So if we look at, if you want to click on the slide deck, and I'll talk a little bit about why Google certification. So on this slide deck, I have a slide there of, you know, why some people might want to get Google certified. So, you know, when my Google certification journey, we were a Microsoft school. They allowed us to start using Google, and I thought, hey, let's look to see what they've got out there. And I wanted to learn as much as I could. So I was teaching myself. So this Google certification, it was just to verify what I knew and didn't know about Google. I didn't have anybody else really to go on the journey with. I was just trying to teach myself and to incorporate it into my classroom. My students at that time got to see me as a learner, and also got to see me make mistakes when I incorporated Google into the classroom. But I guess it was just a way of challenging me. Some people also like to do this because they can list it on their resume. You get a badge saying you're part of the Google Certified Educators. There's a level 1, level 2 badge, and a trainer badge as well. When I was doing this training last summer, I had a teacher going in for an interview. She apologized. She had to leave during the middle of the training, but she said she'd be back. So when she came back from the interview, she had shared some of the questions that the administrators had asked her. One of the questions were they wanted to know if she had her Google certification. So some administrators do realize the importance this Google certification is. But again, are there people out there who know about Google and how to use it, but they don't take the time to become certified? There are. So again, it just depends, but you know, you'll have that badge to set yourself apart from other people. You can put it on your, in your email. Over the weekend, I had a participant, some of you may know her, Jennifer Armstrong from District 87 in Bloomington. She took her Google level 2 exam over the weekend and she passed. And I noticed on her email then, she put it right away. She's got her Google level 1 and level 2 badge that you can put there on your email so people can see it. So again, various reasons of why people are wanting to become Google certified. Feel free to list in the chat why you are interested in becoming Google certified, and that might encourage others to want to as well. So, and you know, it is nice to, if you do have someone to go on this journey with you, to kind of push you and ease your anxiety. If you don't have someone, you've got Elizabeth and I. Feel free to email us, let us know you're getting ready to take it, or email us afterwards. We'd love to hear from you if you took it or didn't, or reasons why you might not take it. But it's, again, here's some different reasons why you might want to become Google certified. So again, here in this slide deck, it does talk about the different trainings that you can do. So I do want to spend some time to talk about this because I think this is important to go through as well. So let me switch back here to this slide deck. And let me just see. Oh, here on slide 9, here's some other ways or benefits of why people are wanting to become Google certified as well. Here on slide 8, so again, what this prep workshop today and Wednesday will do is help you with some of the scenarios. I don't have the time to go into everything the Google Level 1 training site has to offer. So if you go into that, you can just click on this link. And since I'm not in presentation mode, I have to click on it twice. And here's the fundamentals training. Here's level 1 and here's level 2. So if I click on level 2, I can go down here and hit start training. And this is what I was talking about going through. Now, if you're a person who has been using Google Apps for years, do you have to go through all of this? I don't think you do. Again, that's my personal opinion. Feel free, people can reach out, put it in chat, their opinion, what they think if they've gone through some of this. But again, as a newbie to Google a few years ago, I needed to learn as much as I could if I wanted to incorporate this into my classroom. So, I went through these units. I will tell you, when I first started to do this, I would go through a unit on a Saturday. I thought, oh, I have some time. I'll try to, go through this. And then it might have been a month or two later before I went back to it. So it did take me time to go through everything. Again, it was, you're teaching, you're prepping for all the other material, grading papers. So I got sidetracked a little bit. If you do, if you can set aside time and go through this within a week or 2 weeks, I think, again, this is my opinion, I think that would be the best route to go. So when you go into a unit, so here I went into unit 1, get ready to use technology in the classroom. It kind of goes through what you will cover and what you will need. Now, if you look at this and you think, oh, you already know this material, it does say this right here. Feel free to skip to the unit review. I'm not going to skip there yet. Let me go to lesson 1 here in unit 1. So in this lesson, it does approximately tell me it's going to take 23 minutes. Again, I can read through it. Sometimes there's videos. If you're not much of a person to watch videos, you can view the transcript, read through it, and then move on. So they do differentiate here as well. And then you can come down here at the end of each lesson, there are lesson checks. Again, Google even lets you say, you can skip this unit, go straight to the unit review. You don't have to do these lesson checks. But if you want to, you can. Again, it depends on where you are with your knowledge with Google. But so for example, number 1, which of the following has had a large impact on education now that the internet is so easily accessible? So as you go through and read these, I'm not reading them all right now. And as you can see, sometimes it'll be 1 answer, sometimes it'll be 2, but right now it's only telling me 1 because I try to click 2 and it's when I click another one, it goes off of it. So let me just click on that one and then I hit check answer. So immediately I get feedback. If that's wrong, I can go back, check another one, check answer. Nope, that's wrong. So if I can have immediate feedback and keep going back and forth and checking which one's right if I want to. So then I can go down and answer all the questions, and as I answer them, I can check answer and I can change it right away. Now, when I go out of this lesson and go to the next lesson, my answers won't stay there. So if I wanted to review and go back to each of the lessons, I could, because my answers won't stay there. Now, when I go to the unit review, though, on the unit review, it does keep my answers. So you can take this several times too. Right here it says you got 8 out of 8 right, 100%. It doesn't tell me if I went back and had to change my answers. But I'll just show you right here. If I put the wrong answer here on question 1, I can go here and submit answers. There we go. It says, oh, you got 7 out of 8 right. You got 88%. If I'm okay with that, I can move on. If I'm not, I can go back. It's telling me, oh, that's the wrong answer. I can go back and try again. I can even go back and revisit the lesson if I need to. and then I can go back down here and submit answer. And then when I do, it's saying, hey, you got 8 out of 8, right? 100%. So then I can go ahead and start the next unit. So this fundamentals training is worth trying to go back through to learn more about Google. I'm not going to cover everything that's in this today, but if you do look at this, I did, as you complete it, you get a check mark. Do you have to complete every lesson before you take the exam? You do not. Again, this is there just to help you if you need it. And, you know, it does allow for differentiation. So if you think you already know it, you can move on. Now, this is with my work account. My suggestion is to take the exam with your personal account. Why? Couple different things. First thing is, you know, if you might leave your job, then you have it on your personal account. What if you accidentally took the exam on your work account and you left that job and went to another job? That's doable. There's a way to transfer your certification. I was just trying to save myself a step when I took the exam. At the time, did I realize I was going to switch jobs? I didn't, but that was some good advice I had received as well. I have had teachers who took it with their work account and they left that job and they were able to transfer their certification. I just have never done it, so I don't know the steps that are involved, but it is possible. So don't panic out there if you do take it with your work account. So after you do that level 1 training, you're in our prep training today. We do have a link here to the Google certification test tips. So feel free to take a look at this. You do have, I'm not going to go through all of this, but with the exam, you do have 3 hours to take the exam, and you do have to have a working webcam. So here's just some general tips here. Before the test, you know, to go through the online training modules, we've got a couple different links here. Feel free to look through. Prep for the test. Here's some things as well. You know, do make sure that for prepping for the test that you use a restroom or get a drink or snack beforehand, because I've heard 2 different things. You know, they do take pictures of you at different times. That's why you have to have a working webcam. And I heard one librarian, she took this exam during testing time. She couldn't have kids in the library, so she thought she might as well, she had some time to take the exam. She had another teacher in the library with her kids. They were, the other teacher was administering a test, so then that's why she couldn't have other kids in the library, so she took the exam during that time. She said she even walked out during passing period and was on hall duty, came back in the middle of her exam. Her exam was still up. But I've heard people who've left their computer, their face wasn't still on the webcam. They left, whether it was to go get a drink or the restroom, whatever it was, came back and they were logged out of their exam. So I wouldn't take a chance. Again, I've heard 2 different stories, but I would just always try to keep that webcam or your face in the webcam. Another thing, after you register for the exam, you do have 7 days to take the exam. It says 7 days. Sometimes Google puts in an 8th day in there, but just know that if you go and register for the exam today, to take it within 7, be ready to carve out some time in the next 7 days to take it. Make sure you do have the latest version of the Chrome operating system, and then make sure you do know how to open up incognito window. I am telling you all of this stuff because this is how the exam is today. This exam that you and I know will expire, I think July 1st, they said was the last time that we could take the exam using the Criterion web assessor. So hopefully if you're in this workshop today, you are planning on taking the exam before June 30th. so that you can use the voucher and do it over this old testing system, because Google is just pushing out a new, they're using ProctorU to administer the exam. So what you could do then, register for the test. If you do fill out the Google voucher form, make sure you do allow up to 24 hours to get that voucher. Again, this is a lot of information coming to you today, so don't panic. You know, you have access to all of this after today, and if not, you can always email Elizabeth or I with questions before the exam. But if you don't fill out the voucher form, that's fine. You can pay for it yourself. The level 1 exam is $10, and then the level 2 exam is $25. I know when I took the exam, right immediately afterwards, when I got the results, I got a link that I could pass on the exam to other teachers for them to take the exam for half price. So I don't know if that's something that Google's still doing or not, but it's out there. So what is all of the exam? The exam right here, you've got 3 hours to take it, like I said earlier. It is approximately 25 multiple choice questions. It could be drag and drop or matching. And then after those questions, then it takes you to the scenarios. And that's what we're going to be talking a lot about today, are different scenarios that Google may ask of you during the exam. The certification for the exam, it does last 36 months. So after 36 months, you'll just have to take another exam. On the level 1, I'm thinking someone has said it was just scenarios and that they had to recertify. And then level 2, someone recently just retook it and they had questions and scenarios, but they had ample amount of time to take the recertification test. So again, feel free to go back through this before you take the test to help you. And then to take the exam, the Google Level 1 registration site, this is the web assessor. Criterion is the, if it asks you to create a Criterion account, this is the company who is overseeing the exam. So this is what you would have to do to fill this out, to create a Criterion account. And then once you create your account, then you can sign up for the exam and put in the voucher or pay your $10 for the exam. So again, a lot of information about the exam, but you've got a bunch of the links there to go back to when you're ready to take it. So a couple other things. You do need an 80% to pass the exam. I did speak with a teacher last week who took the exam the first time, and she got, I think, a 76% on it. She hasn't taken it again, but she can take it again within 14 days. So, you know, if she took it today and didn't pass, then you have to wait 14 days and then you could take it again. And they don't tell you exactly what you've missed. Computer grades the exam, but they may give you some suggestions on what you should do to help you maybe pass the exam the next time. 30% of the people who fail the exam the first time just run out of time. Right now, under their current system, they do allow you to Google answers to kind of have like an open book test. Some teachers have even taken the exam with other teachers. But with the new exam, I think they're kind of right now going away from that. So I'm going to just mainly concentrate on what it currently is under the old exam that you can still take, that they do let you search. And so in that instance, then sometimes when we have an open notebook or open book test, we think we have all this time to take it. Well, we only have 3 hours. So that's why about 30% of the people who fail the exam, they fail because they run out of time. My personal experience with the Google Level 1. When I took it, I was nervous as all get out. So remember to breathe when you're taking it. But that's just how I am. When I take exams, I get nervous. But I took, the time is at the top of the screen. And I think I took between approximately maybe 30 minutes or so for the multiple choice and drag and drop. But here's what I didn't realize. Where it says the time at the top of the screen, pay attention to that, because right underneath it tells you on the multiple choice questions, choose 2 of 4 or choose 3 of 4 answers. So knowing that made it so much easier, but I didn't find that out until I went back on the questions I marked. So you can go and mark questions as you're taking the exam if you're not for sure. So I went through, and as I was going through some of the questions, I marked them because I'm like, oh, I'm not 100% sure if there should be 2 or 3 answers. Well, at the end of the test, when I was done, I had about a half hour left. So it took me about 2.5 hours to get through the questions and the scenarios, and I had a half hour left. So I went back to the ones I marked. And then that's when I saw, oh, right underneath there, it says, choose 2 of 4. So when I saw that, I knew, oh, that's the right answer, and I could move on. So that would have saved me a little bit more nervousness there in the beginning if I saw that right at the beginning. So then after I took the multiple choice and drag and drop questions, then it moved me to the scenarios. And that's with this slide deck. Some of the challenges are similar to scenarios that you'll encounter in the exam. So again, you need 80% to pass the exam. If you do pass the exam, it doesn't tell you that you pass. It just sends you an email, congratulations, you passed, and then you've got that badge to use for your email. Again, 3 hours with no breaks, $10 exam fee, or you can use the LTC voucher if you would like to. And then again, certification good for 36 months.
We have some people
here on slide 11. So someone who just took the exam in March, here were their scenarios, not the multiple choice, but they had a scenario over Classroom, Docs, so you can kind of see here what apps were covered. So if you're not comfortable with one app more than another, you might want to take time to review or to brush up on that app, because some of these apps, again, I didn't use all of these apps in the classroom with my students, but Google just wants you to be aware. Here's all of the apps that they provide for you out there. Any questions? Have I turned anybody off thinking, oh, this exam's not for me?
We do have some people in the chat that are talking about that they know somebody that ran out of time. I personally know somebody that ran out of time, and her biggest hurdle, because due to running out of time, was that she did it at home, and her husband and her little boy was there. She had to let the dogs out. So it was just little tiny things that you wouldn't think that would really affect your time, but it did. And she got close to the end, but she ended up not passing because she missed a couple of the questions at the end that were worth a lot of points.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, that's one thing. I know what kind of test taker I am. I did not want other teachers around when I took it, if they were going to take it, so that I didn't have interruptions. I came into our office, shut the doors. It was over Christmas break. My husband and kids were home. I made sure they stayed off the internet. I told them they cannot bother me during this time. And I was left alone, which surprised me. And I could then, take the exam. So again, everyone's different, but, realize that you can take it right now. You can take it with other teachers. People, can maybe message someone else if they had questions over something, or, if you do take it with other teachers, you can talk. But that's what Google, why they are changing it, because they feel like maybe the integrity of the test has kind of gotten out of hand, or it's different than what they had expected. So that's why they are changing here, who's proctoring it. There's actually, I don't want to talk about the new version, but so if you think you are going to take it by June 30th, I would highly suggest it, because it's under what we know. Is it going to be okay if you take it after June 30th? I think it will. It just might not necessarily be open book or where you can go and search questions if you're unsure. All right, so here on slide 12, we've got, a scenario here. Incognito window, if you've never used an incognito window, your school district may block it. At first I thought, oh, incognito window, what is that? And I can see why schools could block it, but we'll explain that a little bit more here. So the incognito window, if you go to the right of your Google Chrome person here, and you hit those three dots. Those three dots, anytime you see those three dots or a gear on an app, that means there's a menu that you can click on to find out more. So right here, the new incognito window is, that's opening up on my other screen here. What this allows you to do, it doesn't save your cookies. So what does that mean? It doesn't keep your browsing history. And so I thought, well, I can see why schools block this then, so that people can't just go and search anything they want. But that's not necessarily true. Even if the school doesn't block the incognito window, they can still see what you're searching, because it still might be visible to your employer, and then also your internet service provider can still see. But what's nice about the incognito window, here's where you can check links if you have the links shared correctly. Here's where you can search for, if we ever get, if we're start traveling again, and search for airlines or hotels, you can search this. It doesn't keep track of your cookies, and it won't know that you're searching for an airline ticket to Miami, Florida, or wherever you may be going, so that maybe the price won't go up in the future. Another reason to use it incognito, some people use it for search, like if they're searching for Christmas presents for whoever in their household, and you share and use the same computer, ads will start showing up on the right hand side of you searching. If you search for those UGG boots or whatever it was, and you'll see it on other devices that you're logged into with your Chrome profile. Using incognito though, you will not. So again, some different reasons there. But if I go and highlight my bit.ly link from today, if I wanted to see, if I didn't have my own personal account, I'm trying to highlight it here. If I didn't have my own personal account, I could try it on. I could try the bit.ly link here, so I could see, do I have the sharing permissions correct? Do I have the link correct that you can open? So this is another way for me to test out my links. Do you see that I can't add this to my drive or do anything because I'm not signed in? But this is just another way, using an incognito window, so that you can see that your links are shared correctly and that people can open them.
Lisa, we have a question in the chat. Someone's school has blocked the incognito window on their school managed device, but if she logs into her personal Gmail account, will she be able to access the incognito window? I wasn't sure.
Oh, good question. Using the school device, but using your personal, if someone knows, let us know. If not, we can put that out in our chat room with our coworkers, or even out in the community.
Yes, I would say that it probably would not work.
Yeah, that would be my guess too, that since it's the school's device, they block it on their end. Is that what you're saying, Elizabeth?
Yes, that's what I think. Yeah, I don't think that it would probably work. You could contact your tech director and tell them what day you're planning to take the test and ask them to unblock it for that day, or just use a different device, a personal device.
Yeah, good suggestion. Yeah, I know most schools do have the incognito window blocked, but schools can also, again, it depends on each district's policies, but they could also unblock the incognito window for the teachers, but not for the students. But majority of the schools that I've worked with, they do block it both for the teachers and students. So to get around that, like Elizabeth said, yeah, use your personal device if you can, or reach out to your tech. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Sure.
So then here on slide 12, we've already done some of these things here at the beginning. We added it to your drive. You could have created a folder right there from your drive if you so choose to. So you've got different options there. If not, oh, I didn't mute my phone, sorry. If not, you can always go back and do that. So let me mute my phone here. Here on slide 13, again, another thing I've got here, I've got a Google Slides introduction. And here's an opportunity that people can see who's in this workshop if you would like to.
Showing pictures that match.
And I guess I pressed something on my phone. And within this slide deck here, people can put your name. You should have editing rights. Let me know. Maybe I didn't share it correctly. But feel free to click on this link right here, Google Slides Introduction, introduce yourself, and gives you a chance to experience inserting a selfie, a YouTube video, and then typing here. I know we've got about 70 people in our workshop today here that it may go slow. This is also a time here, if you look at slide 2, there are 5 different anonymous animals there. So how do you know which slide to go to? If you are doing this in the classroom, hopefully you could assign, or each student might have a number that's assigned to them that they could start typing on. Usually in a classroom, you won't have this many people, but my suggestion, just go down here, hover over a slide until you don't see an animal. Do you see here's an animal, here's an animal? And you might be asking, why am I showing up as an animal? Why am I not showing up as my Google account? So right up here, we see we've got all of these different anonymous animals. Anytime you share a link out to people where they click on it, they come up as anonymous because we didn't share it out to their Google account. So there's over 100 different animals out there that Google has. How do you know which one you are? When you start typing, someone else can say, oh, Maureen is she an anonymous dragon. So I can see, you can tell which anonymous animal you are by someone else letting you know. When they see the slide deck and hover over it, they can see, oh, this Melinda's anonymous sheep. But other than that, you don't know which anonymous animal you are. So if you see, if I go back to the slide deck from today, if you go up here, do you see we have all of these anonymous animals here, and then you can see how many people are on here. We see Elizabeth on here as well. Why is her picture showing? Because I shared this directly to her through her email, through her Google account. So, and this is how most of the time your students, they will show up on the Google shared docs, whether it's a slide deck or whatever it is, with their either their picture or first letter of their last name or first name. So know the difference then about the anonymous animals, just so that you know. But again, most of the time within the classroom, your students wouldn't be anonymous because you would directly share it with them through their Google accounts. So if you've never taken a selfie before or inserted a YouTube video, all you have to do, I'm going to jump here to slide 7. I don't see any anonymous animals on here. What I did to start off with this slide deck, I went ahead and put text boxes in for anyone who was new with Google Slides. If it's something that you've been using with your students or your students know how to use it, you know, if you give them directions, they could put text boxes anywhere and move things. Could some of my more advanced students that maybe have been with me the past week or two or month, could they move things around here and put backgrounds in? They could. And you could try that right now as well. Just know that if something happens and you don't like it, come up here real quick before you panic too much and hit the undo button and it will undo. But so to insert a selfie, what you can do, you can just delete this text box. I just clicked on it, but know that, oh, my teacher wants me to insert a selfie. So I can go up here and hit insert image. Under image, I can upload an image from the computer. There's lots of different places I can look at images, but here's the camera. I just click on camera, and so I can insert a selfie. I can look at the camera here. It's pulling the camera from my MacBook over here, so I'll turn on that camera. And then I can look at it, and then when I'm ready, just click on the camera icon. So when I'm ready, just I can click on the camera. So I'll take a picture here. And it puts up the picture right here in the right-hand corner. If that's what I like, then I can just hit insert. If I don't like it, I can then delete it and then take another picture. So I don't have to accept it. So that's all I have to do for inserting a selfie. Then, I can come over here. What do I teach? I don't know why that just went off there, but over here I can put, what do you teach? I can put, ed tech. I can delete what she had there. What is your fun fact? Again, I can delete that and type in what I want. I can leave the question there as well. It doesn't matter. And then right here it's saying, delete the YouTube image and insert your favorite funny YouTube video in its spot. So again, I can delete it and then come up here and hit insert, and I can click on video. And right here I can search, or if I know which video I want to put in, and I can copy and paste the URL here if I would want, or I can even pull a video if I have a video on my Google Drive. But if I go right here to search, and I'll just do Jerry Brooks, that's usually my go-to. If you haven't looked at some of his videos and you need a good laugh, his videos are usually 3 minutes or less. So if I want, no matter what video I want from here, I just have to select it. When I do, it creates a blue rectangle around it and hit select. And then it just inserts a video right here. Can I move it around the screen? I sure can. I can put it wherever I would like. And then what's nice about this, anytime you insert a video here, I don't know why my picture went away there, but I'm not gonna, I'll just delete it right now. I can do a video, I can show a video in Google Slides. And if I want to start it at a particular time, I can start it at 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 minute. I can end it at a specific time as well. I've got some other formatting options here. I can autoplay when presenting. I can mute the audio if I just want the video to play with no audio. Again, I have some other options here. All I have to do is just click on it, and then it brings a drop-down box. I can move this around anywhere on the page. Whoops. So I can move the text boxes. All I'm doing is clicking on it, and do you see when I click on it, I've got the blue lines around. So can you mix up the slide deck? You sure can. Again, my purpose was just not knowing everyone's knowledge or experience with Google Slides. I went ahead and kind of made my own template and copied it several times for then people to introduce themselves on this slide. Again, it's just like with anything, the more you get used to it, the more you use it, the more you'll get used to it here. So I know sometimes people say, well, I can't move my text box or icon. Again, click on it once and wait until you get the blue lines around it. And then I just sometimes drag it from the lines up here, or for the text box. But for the video, it looks like I could click anywhere to drag it anywhere on the screen. So again, as you can see, we've got people filling this out. And as you're scrolling down the side, if you see the other slides on the left-hand side, you can see it looks like there's one animal per slide. Perfect. And hopefully no one is deleting or adding things to other people's slides that shouldn't be. When you do this as a group, you can see what people are doing. Right now, though, since you're all anonymous, I can't see who's doing what. But if you had multiple, again, if you had all of your class sharing and editing one document, if you go up here to File, Version History, I can see version history of who's doing what. You're only going to see, so everything I do is in green. It says Lisa Schwartz, but everyone else is at anonymous users. If I look up here, there's 85 edits here, but you're not coming up since I didn't send this through your Google account. It's not showing up which user's typing what. So again, since everyone has editing rights here, you are, people can edit or change or accidentally delete other people's stuff. So so this was as of today, 9:56 a.m. But if this was the case, you were sharing this with your students, you could see, let's say someone put a silly video on my page or put an image on my page here. You could always go back and see who did what. It would show up their color and their name. So it's a good teachable lesson, good, to get digital citizenship in there. I'm talking with the kids about, hey, Big Brother's always watching what we're doing with technology, and how Google does that is by allowing that version history if you share it with their Google accounts. Here also on slide 14 to know some things about Google Slides. There are, and in the workshop last week, I went over some other things, but if you want to get some other templates, you can check out slidescarnival.com to get other templates out there. Again, you can insert videos. What's an advantage is the ads don't play when you insert the videos and you play them from Google Slides. The slide deck I'm using the default measurements. I think it's 16 by 9. Here, if you wanted to turn this into a book, you could turn it into a book. My suggestion when you change the slides, though, change it, the page layout before you start creating your slides. If not, your whole layout will change and you'll have to go and add that. So how do you do that? If you go up here to File and go to Page Setup. So right now, the default's widescreen. That's what I usually use. If you go to Custom, I could change it to custom to 8.5 by 11, and it would look like a book. So this is another way you could, create using slide deck if you wanted to create a book, and then if you wanted to print it out, it would look like a book. So play around with that if that's something that interests you. Another thing, so if some of you are using Microsoft PowerPoint. That's what I had used for years, over 20 years. Well, I always remembered Microsoft PowerPoint being able to insert audio. Well, believe it or not, Google within the last year has rolled that out, that you can insert audio into your slide deck. And if you go up to Insert Audio, you can insert any audio. You do have to have the audio in your drive to insert it. So If I want to insert some birds here, all I have to do is select on it, insert it. And when I insert it, then I get this icon here, and then I get format options pop up. So if for some reason that I accidentally close out of format options and I think, oh, where did it go? Don't panic. Anytime you're clicked on, if I go down here and click on my icon, then format options come up here on the title bar, or yeah, on the toolbar here. I click on it and here I've got it. Do I want it to start playing on click automatically? So I've got a lot of different things I can control about that audio file. So where do I go to get audio files? In the classroom, I used Sound Bible a lot. It was free. The kids could download it. We had copyright of it, whether it was mainly just sound clips. But you can also go to YouTube. YouTube has, if I click on a new tab, and if I go over to the waffle and I go to YouTube, that's one way how I can get to YouTube. And in YouTube, let me go to my Google account here, and I'm going to go to my YouTube studio. So if you haven't activated your channel or create your channel, if you haven't created your channel, you'll have to create that first before you can go to YouTube studio. But here within YouTube studio, I can go to my audio library. And here, YouTube has an audio library that you can get several different free music and sound effects. So if I go to free music, I can filter it by genre, mood, instrument, duration, or attribution. Same thing with sound effects. I've got different categories here that I can filter it by as well. So then when I'm ready for this, all I have to do, let's say I want to download this cordless drill, click on download, and it's download. If I want, I can keep it on my computer and use it from there. Or if I want to put it in my drive, all I have to do is go and open up my drive, and I'll go down to my sound folder. And do I even have to open up my sound folder? I don't. And then what I can do, just drag this sound right there into my folder. It's saying it's uploading this sound file right now. It's starting upload. It hasn't let me know. Okay, it's completed. So it didn't take very long. Just click the X, and there I have that new sound in my sound folder. So all I did, once I downloaded it from the audio library, I then put it in my drive. Do you have to put it in your drive to put it in YouTube or to put it in your slide deck? That's how I've always inserted sound, was from my drive, but I don't know. Maybe you can go to recent and you can locate it under another file, but it looks like I can even look at shared with me, some sounds that might have been shared with me, or even in my shared drives. It doesn't look like I have sound there. So I always just put it in my drive.
We have
So
a question in the
helps.
chat.
We have a question
in the chat about recording the sound. So do you want to talk about how you record the sound to then get it there?
Elizabeth, I didn't hear the very first part you asked. I apologize.
We have a question in the chat about recording the sound. You're unable to actually record the sound files. Do you want to show them or talk to them about how you record the audio? To like online voice recorder or any of that?
Elizabeth, I've never done that before. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So if you just, and I can just walk you through it, there's different extensions that you can use for recording. Otherwise, there's a website that is pretty self-explanatory. It's onlinevoicerecorder.com. So if you want to open that.
Onlinevoicerecorder.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see in the chat there's some people saying that there's some voice recorders embedded in their computer.
Okay.
It just depends on whatever works best for you.
I mean, I've always just used Screencastify. but that was me recording my screen and my voice.
Yeah, if you click on that top link, Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just one of the websites that I've used, and I've used this with the kids as young as 2nd grade. All you have to do is click the record button.
And then just give permission. Okay.
And it's recording your voice, and it's recording my voice even though I'm not there. And then when you're finished, you can just hit the stop button. And then you can save it and save it right to your drive.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I learned something new there too. And then is it synced right to your Google Drive, or it brings up?
You have to save it there. Yeah.
So it's saving it to my computer right here at the bottom, and then I can just drag and drop it to the drive.
Yep.
All right. So I can have Elizabeth's voice here on my computer. So same thing. I don't know if you saw that. That's how I go about dragging it and dropping it to my drive. That's another thing with technology. There's multiple ways to do the same thing. So feel free to put in chat if you use different software out there. But Elizabeth, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And like how I've recorded my voice was just using Screencastify. It's an extension, but then it also allows me to record my screen as well. But just to record the voice, that is perfect.
And I see a lot of people in the chat saying that they use something similar. There are different extensions. It really just depends on what your preference is. We have someone saying that on your PC, there is a voice recorder already built in, which that works as well. But if you're on a Chromebook, obviously you need something that's web-based. So whether it's an extension or just going to online voice recorder, Loom and Screencastify, yes, you can use those as well. So whatever works best for you. For me personally, I found that website works. It's pretty easy to navigate. And I even led a 2nd grade class using that and then inserting audio onto their slides, and they were able to do it as well. So
yeah, sounds great. Thank you. And as Elizabeth just stated, use what you're comfortable with. But that's one nice thing, having, participating in these workshops, that, even myself, I get to learn about some new things out there. And hopefully you're seeing today, I don't know everything. Is that okay? Hopefully you guys are being kind to me and saying, wow, she doesn't know everything. I don't. But even in the classroom, I didn't know everything. And, it gave the students the ability to see me learn. And then it also maybe empowered some of them to share some of their knowledge with us. Like, oh no, Mrs. Schwartz, I use this website to get my sounds from, and I checked it out. It's copyright. I've got permission to use it. So it also led to, more discussion about digital citizenship. So hopefully you're becoming more comfortable being uncomfortable, not knowing everything, and knowing all that technology can do. Another thing here with Google Slides, for the most part today, during these workshops, I'm not in presentation mode since I'm going back and forth to different tabs. But if I was in presentation mode, there's a lot you can do with this. Feel free to go check out that video or our workshop on Google Slides. But if I go down here, I've got this bar here when I am presenting, that I can do different things. So I know someone asked about closed captioning. I think there's a way to do closed captioning with Zoom. I just didn't have time to look at it. Elizabeth, if you know, I can maybe incorporate that as well. But
I looked at it a little bit ago. I think you may have had to set the setting before. Let me go back to.
Okay, I know that
it's in your meeting settings.
Okay.
And under advanced.
Okay, because it was just turned on for us, I think last week when another coworker asked about it, and I had already set up this meeting. But you could do closed captioning here within Google Slides, and so that if you were doing a screencast or recording, then it would put the closed captioning up here. Let me put it at the bottom here. So everything I say would go here at the bottom so people could read as well. So to turn that off, all I have to do is go back here to closed captioning and turn it off. But if I wanted it to go to the top, hit the arrow, I can put it to the top. Another thing here, if you go to tips, this has a lot of different shortcut keys when you're in the presentation mode. So one shortcut key that I've used is if I hit the letter B, that turns my screen black, and I can just hit escape and it gets out of that. Or I can click on W and it turns my screen white. So it's just a blank screen if I needed to get your attention or the kids' attention at any time. And just hit escape, it takes me out of that. But if you want to learn some other shortcut keys, just click on tips down here and you can see some of the other shortcut keys. So again, there's some other options when you're in presentation mode. Check them out here on the toolbar. All right. Again, if you want to learn more about slides, there I did put a link in here of a, I think is it a slide deck about a beginner guide to slides as well. So moving on to Google Chrome here. So why are we using Google Chrome to use all of these Google apps? They play nicely together and it's all by Google. They programmed it for them to work with each other. Big example here is I had a teacher email me saying she was just in a workshop with me, learned about the Google Docs voice, so her kids didn't have to type, or some of the kids who were struggling in typing. So she goes, you showed me how to do this in the workshop. I thought I knew how to do this and it's not working. Well, there's some things to troubleshoot. Number one thing I said, make sure you're opening up Google Docs and Google Chrome. Why? Because some of the features will only work in Google Chrome. Sure enough, she goes, oh, I was opening up Google Docs in Safari. Safari is another web browser, and all of the features in Google Docs was not available just opening it in Safari. So make sure you're in the Google Chrome web browser and working with these Google apps. You heard me refer to where we put the URL as the Omni box up here. It's the Omni box because you can do more than just type in a web address for your search. You can search other things. So if I click on a new tab here, let me close a few of these. And I type in information about Cathedral of Notre Dame. That's usually my go-to here. So if I want to look about the Cathedral of Notre Dame, I can go to all if I would like to and see everything out there that I would like to know about it. I could go to images. I could go to news, video. So I have these other tabs. So let me go to images here. And let's say, you know, if the cathedral just caught on fire, what I could do then, so we were searching about this last year, right around the time it caught on fire. So I'm looking at images, and if I go over here to tools, I can filter my images based off of these tools. So if I go to time, if there's a certain time frame I want to look at, I can look at that. I'm waiting for them to put in a custom time frame here for, you know, if I want to say from April 2019, April 1st, 2019 to April 30th, 2019. But right now it's just past year or past month. I can look at that. So if I do past 24 hours, here's the videos that were uploaded in the past 24 hours. So it looks like, or I said videos, excuse me, images. Maybe it looks like out of the UK, they were talking about this again, and this is something that they just posted here. It looks like 13 hours ago. It does post, you know, how long ago they were posted. If I wanted to look at a certain type of image, I have this drop-down box here that I can find out if I just want to look at clip art or line drawing. I also have usage rights. So the usage rights, I can label for use with modification. I know that's one big thing, you know, with teaching that I was always asking the kids, hey, make sure that we're able to use that. Make sure we have permission to use that in our slide deck. This makes it so much easier because we can, it says label for non-commercial reuse with modification. We have different usage rights here. If you're not for sure the difference on these, Google it. It'll bring up a whole list of what you can and can't use in the classroom. But this just makes it easier and to, you know, teach the kids about this too. Again, I've got color and size. So now when you go and search for something, you have all of these different ways you can filter down your searches. Because when you see, when I first searched and go under all, I have what? All of these results in 1.13 seconds here. So I went to images, I go to news. Again, here's all the results I have in 32 seconds. I can go to tools, and if I want to look at recent, I can search that. So then it also, you know, if you can see, oh, this happened within the past 24 hours or past year. So you can, you know, check your facts. This is another way to teach about media literacy. Sort by relevance, sort by date. The videos one, I like the videos because under the tools section, I notice, you know, when showing videos in class or during remote learning, you know, the average time of students paying attention, they would, you know, maybe watch a video that's 4 minutes long rather than 20 minutes long. So I can go up here and click on any duration, and I can try to find a short video, 0 to 4 minutes. If I do, for some reason, want to show a long video, I can search just for long videos. And when I do the searches here, then here it tells me how long the videos are right here on my search. So again, this is another great tool that you can use while you're finding some resources for your students. So you have all of these different tools here. If you look under any source, so again, if you are teaching about media literacy and you want to find it from different websites out there, you can do that as well. There's even websites that take some of this information and, you know, give you views from the right, from the left, the liberals, whatever view you want to look at. It does already do that for you. But if you don't want that and you want something else, you could go and look at any source here, all videos with closed captioning. So again, take time, explore that, and hopefully that will help you. Another thing with Google Chrome is, you know, we've got this Omni box here. Besides, you know, typing in URLs or searching for different resources out there, we can use it for conversion. We can use it to translate. We can use it for a timer. So if you go up here and let me say, you know, I needed the kids to do an activity about rolling dice, and they don't have dice at home. So if I go to, oh, it usually comes up first, but I don't think this is it. Yeah, this isn't it. They have different tools. Let me, okay, so I just put roll die and it came up with these different tools. So right here, here's all the different ways I could roll a dice. I've got, you know, a 6-sided dice, 4-sided. I could, whenever I'm ready, hit roll and then it will roll a number. And then if you see this down arrow right here, here's some of the other tools that are there. So if I need a calculator, I can click on calculator. If I go, let me see. If I go back here, I've got a color picker. Some of you musicians out there, a metronome, a spinner. Anybody miss those spinners? So here's a number spinner. I can change the wheel size. So if I have 20 kids, I can, you know, do a spinner of 20. I never had that low of a number, so I couldn't personally use this spinner, but If anybody misses the fidget spinners, you can bring those back on the screen there for you and do a fidget spinner. So you got some of these different options there. Flipping a coin, meditate. So it's nice to have. Sometimes you may see kids play games. Here's another way they may be playing the games under games and toys. And, you know, you might see some kids playing Pac-Man right here. This is how they do it. So again, some of these are educational, some just fun brain breaks, I guess.
We have somebody asking if you can put the spinner into slides, if you can add it into slides. Can you do that with this one?
Not this one, but there are other extensions. There's an Flippity.net. That's used in Sheets, but I think there might be a way to put that into slides. I haven't tried that. Have you, Elizabeth?
No, I've just used it on the smart board as.
Yeah, so there may be a way, I just don't know. If someone knows, feel free to put it in chat or Google it and let us know before we end today. I will say this, I did have down this workshop was going to go from 9 to 12. I've shared the whole slide deck with you. So what we don't get through today, we'll go through Wednesday. And if some of you see that you don't need to join us Wednesday, that is perfectly fine. Just let us know so that if there's anybody on the wait list that they can get in. But yeah, great question about that. I don't know if you can put, I don't think you can put this spinner in, but I think there's some other maybe add-ons or extensions or things that maybe you could maybe get a spinner in on Google Slides. So another thing you need to know the difference of is extensions and apps. You've heard us talk about that. The extensions are the extensions up here to the right of my Omnibox, and these just allow you to manipulate your websites within Google Chrome. So one extension I have up here that's kind of fun is a Bitmoji. When this first came out, you could only use, get this through Snapchat. You don't have to have a Snapchat account anymore. And so the Bitmoji extension, if you've seen people use the Bitmoji, you can go over here and search a recent one. You can go see what's popular out there, and just all you have to do is click on it and then, or just right click on it and copy image, and then right click here and hit paste. And then I've got my Bitmoji there. So how do I get these extensions? To get the extensions, all I have to do, a couple different ways. It's the old way of doing it was going to Chrome Web Store, but I think they still have that open, or you can go to the G Suite Marketplace. So you can, I just have my Chrome Web Store up here in my apps, and I can click on that and go to the web store. If you don't, all you have to do is just type in, I think, Google Chrome Web Store or the G Suite Marketplace, and it should take you there. And then search the store. So how do I know which ones to search for? I Google, if I want to look for something, or I learn from others and search that way. So if I wanted to search my Bitmoji, I just click on Bitmoji and it says, oh, this has already been added. But if I wanted to add it, like this emoji keyboard right here, it's not added to Chrome, so I can add it to my Chrome. And what it'll do, it'll need permission for maybe to access your Google Drive or different things. So you'll have to give it permission. And then it's up here on my, my extension. It's to the right of my Omnibox. So let me move this here for a second. So I've got all of these extensions. Do I have more extensions? I do. So what I did, I created, or I added the Extensity extension. This allows me to turn on and off my extensions up here. So if you see some of my extensions here are kind of faded out, that means they're not up here. So my Bitmoji is not faded out, but if I wanted to turn it off, so it's not running in the background for some reason, I just click here. It's off of my extension bar, but I still have it. I haven't removed it completely. If there's an extension up here that I don't want anymore, that I want to remove, all I would have to do is come over here to my 3 dots and go to More Tools and go to Extensions. And so here's all of my extensions. Now, if some of you can't access your extensions right now, don't panic. If you're using your school account, many school districts have the extensions turned off so that you can't add them, that they can maybe add them for you. Again, talk to your tech department, tech person, whoever's in charge of your Google domain, see what the policies, if teachers can add them or if they have to add them. Again, because some of these extensions, you have to give them permission to your Google account, so they're collecting information. So that is the #1 reason why school districts don't allow teachers to add these, because again, the privacy of what data they are collecting for teachers' accounts or even students' accounts. So right here, here's all of the extensions I have. If I wanted to remove any of them, I can remove any of them that I want. I can also click on details to look at details. I can also come here and turn them on and off right here too. But I found the extension Extensity does that for me. I don't have to go over here to my More Tools to manage them from my 3 dots. I can just manage them from my Extensity. If I do want to remove them though, I come here and just hit remove and it's removed. But again, you may not have on your school account, you may not have permission to do that, that it might have to go through your Google domain admin. So it's either the Chrome Web Store or they've kind of moved it over to naming it to G Suite Marketplace for you to get extensions for your, to manipulate different web pages out there. So again, I think on Friday, we're doing a workshop, Nicole and I, on extensions and add-ons. So feel free to join in on that. Just an hour long to learn more about that. We'll go more in depth. Okay, so what we will do, we will take a break here and about, if someone wants to help keep track, and very shortly. How about that? Very shortly, we'll take a break here. So if you look here on slide 16, this kind of goes more in depth about apps extensions. I did get this from Eric Kurtz. There's differences between all of these. Click on that and he has a nice table there. And that's another thing, if you're new to all of this technology, don't beat yourself up that you have to create all of this yourself. A lot of people out there, Google innovators, other teachers, are willing to share a lot of these resources with you that you can use within your classroom. Even with my position here, I run out of time to do everything. So if someone else has created it, feel free, if they give you permission to use it, and just give them credit to that. So this is a perfect example out there that Eric Kurtz created. And would I have liked to create it? Sure, I don't have the time, and it's already been created. So he's giving us the rights to use it, to share it, and for teachers and myself to look at the differences. So that was extensions. Where are the apps at? If I go up to a new tab and go over here to the waffle, I've got the apps right here. These are my applications. Again, your applications may look different than mine. If you use an app that hasn't been turned on, talk to your Google domain, see what the policies are. You know, if you want to use Google Sites and that's not been turned on, just see if they can turn it on, or Google Groups, whatever it may be. I know some districts do have Google Meet and chats turned off because they don't want their students to use it. But again, it might be able to be turned on for teachers and not students. Again, have a conversation with your Google domain admin to see why or why not, or your Google policy. Maybe he doesn't make some of the decisions, he or she doesn't make the decisions. It could, you know, be based off of the policy of your district. So again, with these apps over here, know that let's say I use my Google Meet a lot, I can drag that wherever I want. So I can rearrange my apps over here by just clicking on it and dragging it. And can rearrange that. So again, if you don't see all of the Google apps over here, can see more from G Suite Marketplace as well. So the challenge here on slide 17, this talks about searching within Google Chrome. So if you want, when we take our break, if you want to try to search using the filters, or even searching using file type, PowerPoint or PDF, see if you can do that. Do you have to do these? You don't. They're just there to make you realize these are similar scenarios that Google may, or similar to what the exam will be, that you'll have several different steps that you have to follow for the scenarios on the exam. So then here on slide 18, we've got the Chrome browser review. So look at that, see if there's anything you want me to cover that I didn't talk about. We will take a 10-minute break here. It's what, 10:31, so about 10:41 we'll come back and answer any questions and then jump in to Google Drive and Google Docs. So, and then if we have time, I did put, if we have time, might throw in another break today, but here on slide 25, we've got, I can move this up here to where we're breaking. So you've got some different links here as well that you can take a look at. So about 10:40, we'll say 10:42, we'll come back and get started here with slide 20. So feel free, if you got any quick questions to ask right now, you can, but if not, you can take a break and join us back here in 10 minutes. Resume the recording. If you are feeling overwhelmed, know that I have the recordings from last week's workshop that we went more in depth on these apps. Again, today is just kind of the prep training that maybe you have used some of these apps before, and just to get you ready for the exam. So if you want more in-depth training, either go and look at the recordings from the YouTube channel, or feel free to look at the events page to see if we're offering some more workshops. I know we're not always getting everything out there weeks in advance, but sometimes it's week by week. And I know Elizabeth and I are still going to do a Google Drawings and a Google Keep workshop here, but we just run out of time to plan everything. So hopefully this week we'll get that planned, and you'll see that under the events page. So, you know, on that Google evaluation that you do at the end with the link that I had on slide 2, put in your suggestions there. We do look at that to try to change things up. So some of the changes that came from that in the last month and a half was me recording them, me allowing you to print these slide decks. Whatever you need, just let us know. We're here to help you and on your journey, whether it's just to learn about the Google apps for you in your classroom or to help you get certified. So welcome back, and we'll get started here then. I know some people are doing the challenges, some people aren't. Again, you don't have to do those, but if you are and there's things that you have questions on, feel free to put it in the chat and we will help you. I do want to, on slide 18, I do want to talk about the pinning the tab. Let me share my screen here. I'm going to stop the recording for a minute so then I can share my screen, because that's the only, oh wait, okay, never mind, it's letting me go. So here we go. So pinning a tab, if you see up here on my my tabs up here, some you can see the entire name of the slide deck or web page, or some I can't. So all I have to do to pin a tab is right click on any of the tabs and I can pin it. So when I pin it, do you see the name goes away? And so then what's the purpose of pinning? Why do I want to pin a tab? If you ever have students use, your computer for whatever reason it may be, if you pin a tab, they can't accidentally close it, or you can't accidentally close it. So if I click right here on this slide deck that we looked at and worked on earlier today, and maybe some people are still working on it, so it brings me up to Courtney's slide here. And do you see when I click up here, there's no X. I can't accidentally close it. If I right click on it, then I get this menu. Then I can unpin it if I want. And then here's where the X is, and I can close it. If I want to close it right from the pin, I can right click on it and I can close it, or I can unpin it. So when you right click on different tabs, you have other options that you can do. If I wanted to, I could close all of these tabs to the right and they would close, but the tabs that are pinned don't. Now you might ask, what do I usually have pinned? I have my calendar. I usually pin my Google Drive because I go to that a lot. I didn't show you this in the beginning, but this is the sign-in sheet that you fill out. If this doesn't look familiar, you get to this link from the second page of the slide deck to sign in. This is how you sign in for the day. Just instead of us meeting in person and you sign in physically on a sheet of paper, here's how you're signing in. And then I've got our staff with the LTC uses Google Chat. Then I have my email, and I pin those because that's what I look at several times throughout the day. So I don't want to accidentally close them. If I do, I can always go back and reopen them, but that's pinning a tab. And then another thing here is multiple profiles. Some of you may be using a computer that your kids use at home, or your spouse or a significant other in your household. So what you might want to do here, there are ways then you can add different people and add accounts to your Google Chrome profile. What I've got here, I have other accounts here, and I make sure I'm signed out of those. If I'm signed into these, what might happen when I'm clicking on some of these links, it may accidentally open up under a different account. I don't know the rhyme or reason behind it, but several years ago when I didn't understand the different, managing my Google account, I would say, I know I opened up something. I don't have to save it. It automatically saves, but it's not in my drive. I'm sounding like one of my students now. But I actually did open it, but it opened up under another account. So what I do is I just make sure I'm not signed into any other accounts, so that can't happen. There's a couple different ways to add different accounts. I can go up here, and is it under more tools or settings? Someone can help me out here. Is it under settings where I can add another account? I know with the Mac, how I add another account is I go up here to people and I add different people. So I have a student here within the LTC, my student account. I got it, my son's name, Blake. I've got my personal account. I've got another account with a school. So that's how I do it. But there's a way, and instead of me taking time, Elizabeth, do you know the other way off the top of your head? Or
yeah, if you click on click there, and then add another account. It's right.
Okay, to do it that way, but then sign out. And then I was thinking there was another way, but yeah, this way will work. I just make sure I'm signed out of any account that I'm not, I only have one account signed in at a time. So if anybody knows, it's just like with anything with technology, multiple ways to do the same thing. And the way I was thinking of isn't coming to me. So, but the way Elizabeth just said, that's another way to do it as well. So then what I can do when I want to go to those accounts, if you saw in the beginning, I can go to my personal account. And so this brings up my personal account. This is how I showed you how to add this slide deck to your drive. So when I added this to my drive, that will add it to my personal account. How do I know which account I'm in? I have different pictures for my different accounts, or you might have different initials or names. Some people might have, instead of your picture, you might have, you know, your first initial or your last initial there as well. So you can change that. Just know when you go into managing your Google account, click on it, manage your Google account, and that brings up your settings. So here's where your information is, and it does let you know information. So if you've never been here before, again, take time to check this out as well. How did I get there? By just clicking on my icon for my Google account, and that was my personal account. All right, so again, slide 19, feel free to take a look at some of these other things you can do within Google. Slide 20, looking at your Google Drive overview. I'll show you some of these things for the skill set. If I don't cover everything with the skill set, feel free to ask it in chat, stay on after, or we do have that video for the previous workshop on Google Drive as well. But if you've got a quick question, feel free, if I'm not covering it, feel free to ask as well. So how do I get to my Google Drive? Lots of different ways to go. I can go to a new tab, come over here to the waffle and go to my drive. That way, I usually have it pinned up here so I could just go up to my drive that way. Some people can bookmark it. You can bookmark it. That's another way. I usually don't go to my book with my bookmark because I have it up here, so I could probably delete that bookmark. I could also, I have it here in my shortcuts. If you don't have it in your shortcut, you could go here and add it to your shortcuts so it's there if it's a page that you are, go to frequently. So again, lots of ways. Now as you saw earlier, I went to my drive to insert my sounds. So it's still on my sound and my sound folder. How do I get back to my drive? All I have to do is just click on the word drive or click on the symbol drive, and it goes back to the home page for drive. Now, you do have some control over your home page for drive. So right now, if you look at my drive, I've got my quick access. So this has the files that I've most recently opened and worked with, and it says you edited today, you opened in the past week. It tells you underneath what you've done. If you don't like the quick access, go up here to the gear. Remember again, if you've been with me on this journey of learning about Google, any place where you see the gear or 3 dots, know that there's other options there. Each app has more options and settings you can manipulate. So if I click on that gear and I go to settings, here I've got, not a lot, but I've got a few things I can manipulate. So that quick access, if I didn't like that quick access there, I can turn that off. Right here where it says, make relevant files handy when you need them in quick access. Watch, when I click that off, my quick access disappears. My suggestion, anytime you try some of these different things in settings, do one thing at a time to see if you like it or not, and to know what happened when you click that. So again, these are just suggestions they make, but if you don't like them, you can always turn them off. I tried it for a while to have my quick access off. I've just gotten used to it, so I went back and turned that on. I know some of you, if your school district is, migrating over from Microsoft to Google, on the back end, they could do a complete upload of those files for you. And usually districts will tell you when they're doing it and probably tell you one-time deal. If for some reason your district doesn't do that, or you don't have, you're working in Microsoft and you have to upload it later to Google, you can convert uploads automatically to the Google Docs editor format. Here again, you can turn it on, you can turn it off if you would like. So you have choice right there. Again, this is all under the gear. Another thing with Drive. Now, some of you may be looking at my Drive and think I am disorganized or organized. Again, everyone's different. Is it okay? Yeah. So whatever you're thinking, if you think I'm the most disorganized person out there, that's fine. You're not hurting my feelings. But this is a great tool to teach other teachers and to teach students that it's okay. We're all different. Technology is there to help with differentiation. So how this is organized, for those of you who think it's organized, I've got it by folders. Again, that's the default that Google sets up for me. If I come right up here, I've got this in, there's two different views. I can have it in list view. So here's a little different, and it shows the owner, last opened by me. If I change it back to grid view, the grid views folders. Again, you get used to one view over the other. There's some reasons, sometimes I do want to change it to list view, and I'll talk about that as well. But in grid view here, I've got folders listed here, and take a look to see how my folders are listed. And then also underneath my folders are my files. So these files I didn't organize right in the beginning when I put them in my Drive. So it may look like a hot mess to some of you. If I keep scrolling down, I've got more files. As you can see, I've got PDF files here, forms, slide decks. It shows you the file type there in the bottom left-hand corner. So you'll get used to it. There's a Microsoft Word. So as you keep going, there's other files. And I don't have them all in folders. Now, in the perfect world, or some of you who are very keen about being organized, they're all in a certain folder. Again, some of you may think I have too many folders. Again, it depends on your organization style you have. So if you did take a look at my folders, so it does look like, if you look here, I can put emojis in my name of my folder, and anything with an emoji will appear first. Then after an emoji, some of you figured out numbers. Any folders that I have numbered first will come, and then ABC order. So if for some reason I need to reverse the order, right now this is an ascending order, I can reverse it to descending order. And when I do so, just by clicking on that arrow, usually I thought, there we go. Okay, it went, I just clicked too fast. It was lagging there. So I can reverse it. It goes Z to A then as well. So you can change it. If you see, right now I've got a name. I can sort by last modified by me, or last opened by me. So I can change that as well. Now, again, I said you could be the most disorganized person and not have folders and just everything out there in your Drive. That, again, is perfectly fine. Up here, do you see where it says search and Drive? And this arrow right here, when I click on that arrow there, I can search. So if I click on what kind of file type do I want, I can search any. Or if I know, oh, it was a presentation, I call it a slide deck, and I know it was owned by a specific person, or I'm looking for owned by anyone, owned by me. Like, if I can't remember, oh, what was that lady who talked about Google Drive? I can just click on anyone. And then if I know the item name, I can put the item name in. If I'm not for sure of the item name, I can put has the words. So if I want to look up something about Google Drive, it has the words there. And then I can hit search. And so what this is going to do, it's going to search all of the slide decks. So it's only slide decks here, and all of them that have the word Google Drive in them. So then I can see that there. Now, if for some reason, again, I can go back to my Drive by clicking on the word Drive or clicking on the symbol Drive. and it'll go back. And I can always go back here and change the type, because within my drive, I have everything goes in there, whether it's sheets, forms, slides, everything gets saved to my drive. I access Drive to access all of the documents, all of my files that I have saved. So that is under my drive. Now, let's say you have time on your hands and you want to organize all of these files down here that aren't in a folder. Couple different ways. First way, let's say I want to put this one up in one of the folders. I can click on it and then drag it up, and then it goes up. For me, that is way too slow. Again, everyone's different, so I'm going to show you a few different ways to organize your files. If you come over here to the left-hand side, do you see this arrow to the left of the symbol Drive? Click on that arrow and what happens? So you see I have all of my folders there. So it lists all of my folders in my drive. So again, to some people that might be way too many folders. You do what works best for your organization. So let's say I've got time on my hands and I want to organize my files. A couple different ways to do it. Let's say I want to organize these first 2 rows. I can put my cursor up here and I can drag it all the way over to the files I want highlighted. So right there, I've got those files highlighted. If I click on one and drag it over, I can put them all in a folder. Do you see the number 12 in the upper right-hand corner there? This says I have 12 files I'm going to put in blended learning. It highlights the blended learning folder, okay? If I don't want that, just drag it back over here. They all go back in my drive. Now, let's say I want different, let's say I want this file, I want this file. So do you see how I've selected these 4 different files that aren't right next to each other? On a Chromebook or a laptop, using the Windows operating system, you hold down the Control key. On a MacBook, and anytime you hold down a Control key on a Chromebook or a laptop, it's the Command key. So on a MacBook, it's a Command key. And then I click on what I want. So I'm holding down the Command key and I'm selecting different things that I want. Now, whoops, I accidentally clicked off of that. So these aren't right next to each other. Again, I have 4 things highlighted. Grab a hold of any one of them. It takes them all 4. Do you see how they're kind of grayed out on the screen? And drag it over here and it's saying, hey, I'm going to put 4 items in whatever folder I want. If I know that I want this file and all of these files here, I can click on the first one, hold down the Shift key, and click on the last one. It will highlight everything in those first 2 rows that I've highlighted, the first one and last one. Again, click on it, any one of them, drag it over, and it kind of grays them out to say, hey, you're moving these. If you don't want them, you can drag it back. But as long as these are highlighted here, click on any one of them that's highlighted, hold down your mouse, and then slide it over, okay? And do you see here for Classroom in my drive that I can have folders within a folder? Now, you may look at your drive and see some folders and say, hey, I didn't create that folder. If you've used Google Classroom before, anytime you create a new class, it creates a folder for you. So in my classroom called Differentiation Workshop, I have different folders within that classroom that's based off of assignments that I've assigned. So again, when some of these apps say they need access to your Google Drive, because they will create a folder for you and put it right in there and organize it for you. So if you use Screencastify, that extension, what it does then, it created a folder here for me when I added the Screencastify to the extensions. So again, that is why some school districts, many school districts, only push out extensions through their Google admin person, because they've got to check to see what kind of data these companies are collecting on you and your students. So just know if you see a folder in your drive, whether you added an extension or not, you know, if your school district pushes out extensions, then that's why sometimes a folder was created in there. Now your question, you might be asking, well, how do I even create a folder in the first place? A couple different ways. You can right click up here and create a new folder. You've got these options here. I mean, I think there's 4 or 5 different ways that I can think of creating a new folder. When we added the shortcut, the slide deck to your shortcut, we could create a new folder from there. Or when we're in Drive, besides right clicking there, you can just go up here to New. You can create a new folder right here, and then it says, hey, you need to name it and create it there. And then also within Drive, you can see you can upload a file, you can upload an entire folder. But again, before you start uploading stuff, check with your district to see if on the back end, if everyone's migrating over to Google and you were a Microsoft school, see if they will transfer all of your Microsoft over to your Google Drive for you. I know some school districts out there are doing that. They're giving you a hard deadline. Hey, everything you have in, whether it's your G Drive, H Drive, whatever drive your school designated before the Google Drive, you know, they might give you a hard deadline saying June 1st, everything in there will move over. Anything after that, you'll have to move over yourself. So check with them. You can also, within your Drive, you can create a new Google Doc, Sheets, Slides. You have all of these different apps then that you can create from your Google Drive. Again, under More, you might see some different apps here based off of what your school district has pushed out and may have subscriptions for. So you can connect more apps here as well. Again, you may or may not have the ability to do that. But if anything, always try some of these things out with your personal account if you've got it, to see if it's something that you think would be useful, you could use, and again, have a conversation with your tech people at your district. And sometimes some of these Google apps are things that aren't turned on the back end. The Google admin didn't know they had control over. So again, maybe they're not using all of these different apps and didn't realize that they could turn it on the back end. So a couple other things here within Drive. Shared with me. Now, you're shared with me anytime you go out there and open up something from the internet that maybe someone else owns, but they do give you sharing rights, it will be shown up here in your Google Drive. Now, you're shared with me, it is going to be a hot mess. The only way around it right now is you have to add it to your Drive. And then you can, once it's added to your Drive, then you can organize it in your Drive. So shared with me, again, I rarely look at shared with me unless if I know there's something or I can't remember what it is. I might just go back and look to see if I can just look at it from the grid view. And then up here under my quick access, this is the people within our organization that's shared documents with me, and then it shows what they've shared. Again, you can change that as well. Recent, you can click on recent, see what you've most recently opened. So similar if you're used to the Microsoft platform, you get similar to what Microsoft offers with the recent. Starred, if there's a folder out there or a document that I use frequently, I can star it, and then it can be housed in here. It saves me from searching my Drive up here. Again, it's just what you get used to, multiple ways to do the same things out there. And then trash, again, you can trash anything that you want, and it shows you, if you don't empty your trash is still there, and it shows what's all there. So some people don't empty their trash, they use it as another place to put things that they might want to look at later. Again, your organization, just make sure you remember how you organize. your drive so that if you do use trash for organization for some reason, you don't go up here and hit empty trash. So if I go back to my drive, so how do I add emojis, or how do I change my name? If I right click on any of my folder, I get another drop down menu. Here's where I can share a whole entire folder with someone. Just remember, if you do share a folder with someone, that if I look at share settings for my settings folder, right now I've got anyone at the LTC can do that. All I have to do is change it. And right here, I can put restrictions on it if I want, or anyone with the link. And if I let anyone with the link, I can give them viewable rights or editor. If I give you an editor right to this folder, you can do all of these following things. You can organize it, you can add anything to it, and you can edit files to that folder. So I could copy this link and share it with you through an email if I would like, or I could just come up here and add your name, and then you'll get an email saying I shared this folder with you, and then you would have immediate access to it, whether I shared it to you as an editor or a viewer. If I shared it with you as a viewer, then you could add it to your drive if you would like, but you can't change the original content in that folder. So if at any time, let's say I shared it with you as an editor and I don't like how you organized it, I can take the editing rights off at any time and change you back as a viewer. All I have to do is go back into my sharing settings and change it back and forth however I would like. So I'm just going to turn, I don't need to share that folder. So let me, okay, I've turned it off. So it's not shared. So you can turn it on or off right there by right clicking on it. And then do you see how that person goes away? So if there's a person in there, that means that I've shared it with people, and then I can right click on it and hit view details to see who I've shared it with. I can also, some of you saw, I've got some colored. So some of the folders you can have color coded. Again, your organization can be different, it's okay. I can rename this at any time. If I want to rename this, just hit rename and I can rename it. If I take off that emoji there, then it'll go back to the H's, but putting that emoji there puts it at the top of my hierarchy of my organization of my folders. And I think on the slide deck, do I have, if I don't have it on this one, I can put in, I use, is it copy paste character? Is the website I've used to get emojis. Let me, and I can put that in, copy paste character. Yeah, so here's one, there's several different ones out there, but if I want to use this emoji here, I right click on it, I hit copy, and then I go to my drive. If I rename this folder, I paste it, and then voila, it goes up there at the beginning. So
there are a few extensions that there are different emoji keyboards that I have some of my teachers use as well.
Okay, and if you want to add that on that slide too.
Sure, and I see in the chat, I think Angel Joy Pixel is an extension. So.
Okay.
And you would just find those in the Google Chrome web store?
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, I think I have some, yeah, I have the emoji keyboard up here too. But again, you go to where maybe what you first remembered how to do it, multiple ways to do the same thing. So yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. And feel free if you have one that hasn't been mentioned in chat, put that there as well. So again, you know, for some of you who were with us last week, Google Drive, we could spend hours on it explaining it, but hopefully that gives you a little overview of it. If you look here on slide 22, 23, 24, and I guess 25, sorry about that. I do have some challenges here. Feel free to walk through those as well. I know some of you might be doing those if you were with me last week on some of these workshops, that you're getting a chance to walk through the challenges now. The Docs overview, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Docs then. How do you open up a Google Doc? A couple different ways. You know, you can go to the waffle, if you have it down here in your shortcut. You can even just type in docs.new if you would like to just open up a new doc. So if I go to Docs over here, let me talk about this for a minute. I've got where I can create a new document here. I've got templates that I might be able to use. Again, you may not have templates up there based on your Google admin and how he or she has set that up. And then here's things that I've opened up, and it shows yesterday, previous 7 days, shows not owned by me, last opened by me. I've got other options here. When I go and want to open up a Google Doc, I don't think I ever go to the waffle and go to Docs. Whenever I want to open up a Google Doc, I always go to my Drive and open up a Google Doc if it's one that I've worked on before. But if it's one that I'm just starting, I might just type in docs.new. And with a new doc, then all I have to do, if I click up here, it highlights it once, and then I can just start typing. I'll just put in today's date. And then I've got my doc. Do you see? I didn't have to, it doesn't show me to put it to Drive. It saved it automatically to my Drive. All changes saved in Drive. If I click on this folder here, and then the arrow, it says move. Right now it's in my Drive, but if I want to organize it in a folder, I can organize it in the folder right here. So again, do I have to? I don't. I can go back to my Drive and organize it that way if I want. But if I don't want to forget about organizing it right now, I can do that and put it in a folder, or and move it here, or add a new folder. If I add a new folder right now, it will go under digital citizenship. If I want to add a folder and it to be under my Drive, just make sure I'm under my Drive and add a new folder here. Put in the new name, put the check mark, and hit move here. So click off of it if I don't want to move it. I've just got it in my Drive. Very similar to Microsoft Word if that's what you're used to. One thing here, and like I talked about earlier, if you go up to Tools, this is where you have voice typing. My 7th grade son, who's not the best typist and hesitates to want to do work on the computer because of his typing ability, he can just go here, turn on the voice, the microphone, and everything he says then is typed out. Does he need to maybe go back and put punctuation in or proofread it? He will. But if I say period, it's like it does put the period in there. It's similar to when you do your voice text that you send people. So whenever I want this off, I just have to turn this off and it goes off. So then he's got his essay, whatever he had to write about right there, go back and proofread it, and then he's got his assignment done. It saves him from having to type it out. So that has helped immensely, especially during this remote learning time, because I have found that he would rather write things, you know, with pen or pencil and paper rather than go and type things on the computer. So if you go under Tools here and Google Docs, you've got some other things here as well. The Explore, let me talk about Explore. This allows you to search within the same tab, but it searches the web for you. So if you were searching and doing some research on Abe Lincoln, here it searches the web for you. You can click on this tab and just look at images, or you can even search Abe Lincoln information in your drive. If you're searching here on the web, then if I come down here, and let's say I got some information from this web page. Do you see right here with the quotes? I can cite this as a footnote. So if I click on cite as a footnote, it puts a 1 there because that's the first footnote. And right down here, it puts the citation here for me at the bottom of the page. So if that's something that you haven't discovered, that is usually a huge benefit of this Explore feature. Now that was an MLA. If I needed and cited an APA or Chicago, I can do that. I can just switch it to APA, come down here and search, do the citation of the same web page, and then here's the difference between APA and MLA. And if kids use that, then you can actually see, hey, when are they accessing this? You know, are they waiting until the last minute to do this assignment? It puts in, you know, the date that they actually did it. Could they go in and change it? They could, but I have found most students don't. They just leave what they get when they hit the quotes for the citation. So all of this was under Tools and Explore. Again, there's multiple ways to get to Explore. You may see it down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It's the same exact thing, but different places. So if you can't remember where it's at up here, just know it's at the bottom of your screen. Another thing, what I like about Google Docs when I first was using this was in staff meetings. And, you know, we would put an agenda here that we could see. We wouldn't have access to edit the agenda, but we could have access to put comments off to the side if we wanted them to add things to the agenda and or assign things. So if this was an agenda, what I could do is hit the plus sign over here. That plus sign is for comments. If you don't see it over here, I can come up here and add a comment to this as well. Let me see. So a couple different ways I can even go, is it under insert, add comment here as well. And I could put a comment here, whether if it's for a student or if it's, you know, on the agenda, I could say, can we add info about bus duties or whatever it may be, and hit comment, and it's right there. Now, if I wanted to make sure that this went to my administrator or whoever was leading the agenda or the staff meeting or any kind of meeting, then I could also put in, if I go up here to add comment, I could assign this to someone. So I could use the @ symbol or the plus sign. And since Elizabeth's on today, I could put add Elizabeth. I'll say she's leading the meeting, and it assigns it to Elizabeth. So if I click that check mark, she'll get an email saying, hey, there's been something assigned to you. So if I want her to add something to the agenda or look at something before the staff meeting, I can put this comment here. This will go directly to her. I hit assign. Now, I haven't shared this document with her, so it's saying, hey, do you want to share it with her? And when I do so, I can share it with her by having her just to be able to comment with it or edit. I can also turn link sharing on right here as well, but I'll just put it right there. So what she will do, she is getting an email right now, and it could take her a few minutes for her to get it. If not, this document has been shared with her, so she could go to her Google Drive and access it from her Google Drive as well by shared with me. If not, she could go to her email and get it from her email of it being shared with her. And then she could comment back to it. I don't think, did I give her editing rights, or just, I think I put commenting. So she won't be able to change anything on this document except putting a comment over here. So then what she could do, she could resolve this and mark it as done when she's done, and it hides it. or she could come here and then answer it and put a reply here. So this is a way that sometimes kids will go around and if they're sharing a document, they'll maybe put comments off to the side to, that's their way of passing notes in this day and age when we get back into the classroom. But at any time, if they say, oh, the teacher's coming, they can just click here and hit resolve. It goes away, the teacher can't see it. Well, really, it's just hiding the discussion. As a teacher, what you could do, you could come up here and open comment history and see what has been talked about. You could even reopen this, and it shows that at 11:24, Lisa marked it as done. At a certain time, she reopened it. And then people can go back and reply to it as well. So again, there are ways around, if kids are thinking that they're being, hiding them passing notes, making comments here on the Google Doc. So again, you can use the @ symbol or the plus sign, put in the person's name or email. If they're in your account already, it'll pop up and you can notify them to do something. Because usually with staff meetings, people say they'll do different things. Well, whether it's a week later, a month later, we come back and they'll say, oh, I forgot, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Well, that will hopefully help them remember by them being assigned the task that they said they would do, volunteered or told, I guess either way. So that's under inserting comments. Another thing you can do with Google Docs is, I don't know if you've heard the term hyperdocs, that people are using different assignments out there that link to other things. You can create a link of anything, an image or a word to link to a web page, to another document, whatever it may be. So all you have to do is highlight it. You can right click, or I'm used to, I link all the time. So I just use Command K on a Mac or Control K on a Mac. It's the shortcut keys. And anytime if you hover over any of these tools, in parentheses, that's the shortcut keys to do that. So here, to insert a link, it shows me a Command K since I'm on a MacBook. So I hit Insert Link. And when I insert the link here, I can paste in a URL here. I can search right from here, or I can even, have it linked to other documents. So for some reason, it's pulling up void tools for me to link to. If that's the website I want to link to, I can. Or I can link to other docs, or I can click on Find More. So again, it's just like with using the links within the slide deck, same thing within docs, you can link to it. So again, that was a very quick overview of docs, just to hopefully prep you for the exam if you haven't used some of those tools before. One other thing with the doc that I want to show you is up here, if this is a document shared with students, I can go to editing here. If I don't want, another student to edit my document, I want them just to only give me suggestions, you can turn suggesting mode on. So then, if two students are looking at this assignment and think, oh, that should be deleted there, instead of them actually deleting that, when they hit the delete key, it puts a green line over it and a green, or like parentheses. And then over here, it's saying, hey, delete microphone. This person's suggesting you delete it. And then that student could type in something, maybe you should put in, if they have another suggestion for that. And then that is there. Then that person whose paper it is, they can either accept it, and if it does, it will delete it. If they reject it, it doesn't delete microphone, it deletes the comment over here, and it keeps microphone there. So that is the suggesting mode. There's an editing mode. So the editing mode, they can actually, if you've shared this document with them, gave them editing rights, they could actually delete what's on that document. And then again, the viewing, just for them to view it to see if they have any suggestions, or just to let them view the document where they can't give you suggestions. And again, with this one, you've got version history. So if multiple people are on this, you can see the version history of it. Right here, it's showing Lisa, this is what she's done in green. If Elizabeth or anybody else was on this document, it would have her name and then assign her a color and show you the time and date she made any revisions to it. So again, you know, Big Brother's always watching. Good to, you know, show the students that, and knowing that they can see what's out there. Another thing here, add-ons. With add-ons, we've got, there's different add-ons that you can put out here to help you. It's more functionality, more tools that you can do that is not incorporated into Google Docs. Again, how do you get add-ons? Get add-ons here, manage add-ons here. Your district may block this as well. Try it on your personal account. Again, sometimes when I need something, I go and search, hey, can I have Google Docs do this? So that's how I've learned about these add-ons out there as well. This Magic Rainbow Unicorn, I think I showed this with Google Slides last week if you were on, but there is an add-on for Google Docs. Again, what does this do? It changes your font to the Magic Rainbow Unicorn. So if I start the rainbow, highlight it, start the rainbow magic, and then it changes what I've got highlighted, or wherever I've started it and I start typing. So some of the add-ons are kind of fun. Some have more purpose than just changing the font, but just again, might be something of use for you in your classroom. There is, if you see all of these, you know, more fonts, usually with elementary teachers, they like all the fonts that they had with Microsoft, and they don't have maybe all that there is in Google, so they can go here and do an add-on for more fonts. So again, when you're needing it to do something, go and Google it, see what else you can do with Google Docs. Elizabeth, anything else that you want to add on with Google Docs?
No, I think you covered it all for the most part. We had a couple questions about when you were commenting and asking if it was if it would notify the people. So, and I had to explain that if you comment, it only will notify the owner of the document. If you mention another person, maybe a collaborator that it's been shared with, then it will notify that collaborator. So that's why you would want to mention someone. I'm not sure if you had said that or not as I was typing back.
I don't think I did, so thank you for saying that. But it's just like with anything, will you remember everything I say today? Probably not. If you do, let me know your strategy on remembering everything. But you know, with technology, we don't have to remember and memorize everything. We can Google it, right? Or help each other out. Sometimes, even in this day and age, I don't like it when someone says, oh, well, Google it to find out the answer. And sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, what question, how I should phrase it. So it's nice to have another human around to get feedback or to help as well. Okay, so if you look at the next slides here, I've got some challenges here. Looking at the time, feel free if you want to look at some of these challenges to do those. I know some of you may have already worked on them, but if not, you've got time before Wednesday, hopefully, that you can work on some of these challenges and maybe come with your questions Wednesday morning, and maybe we can answer some questions from today. But anytime you are uploading, if I will talk about this, if you upload, it says this digital citizenship is a link here, and it's a PDF. What Google has done within the last year, I know this has changed. If I want to print this for some reason, the purpose of, you know, trying to get these Chromebooks out for students is so that we don't have to print as much. If we click on the printer icon, some districts have disabled the print option that you can't even print from Chromebooks because again, that's the purpose of a Chromebook, is trying to get away from printing. And when I hit the print icon up here, it says, hey, destination, save to my Google Drive. I can save right to my Google Drive from the print option. Now, if your district hasn't disabled the print option, you can click on that down arrow and it may be connected to a printer. Whether if it's a school-owned device, it'll be connected to a printer at your school. So again, many schools have disabled to being able to print from Chromebooks, that it just automatically saves to your Google Drive. And then when you do save this PDF to your Google Drive and I hit save, I can't organize this in a folder right now. Now, once it's in my drive, I can, but that's one downside right now. I'll refresh my drive here and we should see this folder here in my quick access. So I just created this now, and do you see that long name? So if I right click on this document, I can rename it and give it, the digital citizenship, and I can move it to a certain folder here too. So again, you have all of these options, but I've noticed when I open up like a PDF and save it to my drive from how I just showed you, it doesn't let me save it within a folder. One other thing with quick access, if I want to drop it down to one of these folders, it doesn't let me drop it and drag it. If it lets you now, let me know how you did that, but that hasn't been a tool I couldn't drag and drop when I'm from quick access. But all I would have to do is right click on it, move it to whatever folder I would want it in. I could also download it as well if I would like, but that, by adding it to your drive, that saves me about 3 steps from downloading, because the old way of doing it is I could download it and then upload it to my drive or drag and drop it. This, going over to the printer, saves me 3 clicks of the mouse by saving it to my Google Drive right from here. Again, multiple ways to do the same thing. There's probably another way to do this too. Feel free, put it in chat if you know another way. So feel free, if you want to, you can right now to go through these challenges if you would like. If not, let me see what time we've got. We have about a half hour left, about, I guess, 24 minutes. I am going to move things around. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Google Classroom here. And then on Wednesday, I'll talk about forms and sheets, because that's going to take me more than 20 minutes. So Google Classroom, if you're new to Google Classroom, a couple ways to go to Classroom. You can type in classroom.google.com if you want. You can go over here to the waffle and go to Classroom. One nice thing, if you are using Google Classroom and you do have Meets turned on, some of you might have realized that you can link and create Google Meets with your students. They can't log into the Meet until you're there. So if I'm in the student view and I try to go into my Google Meet here, it won't let me. So if I go, let me see. If I go into a student account here and I go into Google Classroom, oh, I went on my other screen here. So this is Blake's Google Classroom here. Again, this is just an account here at the Learning Technology Center. Right now, Google hasn't set it up that you can see a student view. Hopefully that's coming someday, but my workaround is I've got an account here at the Learning Technology Center that I could have a student join. So it's showing that I've got a quiz due tomorrow in my differentiation workshop. And then, so I'm the student view, and as a student, if I go into the Google Meet, I can't go into it based off of that link right here. Why? Because the teacher's not in. Once the teacher's in, then it will let me join. So if you know, whether it's now here in May or in the fall, if you still use Google Meets any, that if your students know that at 10 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, Friday that you have class, you don't have to create a new link and send them out an invitation every time. They know they can click on here at 10 a.m. they can go here. Usually what some teachers are doing is they might go into the Google Meet at 9:50, 10 minutes early, or however early they want to, just to give the kids a chance to have conversation, but it's under a controlled environment that they can't get in until you're there. Another thing with the Google Meet though, let's say you're done, it's 11 o'clock, class is done, you've still got two kids talking back and forth, and you've got to maybe join another class, or you just have other work to do. You will need to remove those two students before you leave, because if you leave and you still have students there, they will stay in that meet unless if you remove them. So again, you will want to remove them, and if you've used Google Meet before, you'll know where it says remove. If not, if it's your first time, either Google it to see how to remove a student, or let us know. Send us a question, we can help you.
I think you just have to click on there's like a little person, like a participant's icon in the upper right-hand corner, and you can remove them when you're in the meet. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
There's like a little minus sign that will remove them right next to them.
Thanks. And I'm sure if you Google it right now, there might be some images out there. At the end, I can show you. I just didn't want to show you right now because it will make me lag. And but exactly what Elizabeth said, or go out there and look to see. I'm sure there's some icons out there of people who have pasted what it looks like. So the main thing for Google Classroom is it's a learning management system. It's a place for you to organize all of your classwork. So if you go to classwork, this is where you can post assignments, you can post questions. It's all under here, create. And here's assignments, questions. You can even do a quiz assignment. I usually don't do the quiz assignment because I've already got the quiz created in Google Forms. So I'll just go and create an assignment and attach the quiz to it. And then you can put it under topics. Here, I just showed you how you can do different topics. Some people, will do topics based off of, if this is questions. Some people might use the same Google Classroom for multiple subjects. So you could put down, by math, English, whatever it may be. You could also divide it up by chapters. You could have a topic by quizzes. You get to create the topic. So you do it how you best makes sense for you. My suggestion, whatever your organization is, let your kids understand what your organization is. Depending on the age of the kids, they may be working with 6, 7 different teachers, and their classrooms all could be organized differently by topic. Some teachers might even put topics by week. Here's everything we did this week. So again, you do have some freedom and choice in how it looks for you, but it may not make sense to all of your students because they don't think all like you. So be aware of that. Take time to explain your organization here within Classroom. So if you scroll down here, here's my topics, here's my assignments under my topics, and it shows right here when it's due. And you can always move within each topic. You can move assignments up to the top. You can move them, down, you can move them up. You have control of where they are. You can drag and drop them. You can come to the 3 dots here, move up or down. So if you are brand new to Google Classroom, I would suggest that you take a look at the video that we had on our Google workshop I think last week. But real quick, if you go to create a new class assignment, just hit create assignment. Right here, you give it a title. You can put instructions here, optional, you don't have to. And then here's where you can add or create. So if I already have something ready for them to go, I just hit add. And if it's a link, a YouTube video, a file, or something from my Google Drive, I can just add it here. I don't have to recreate it. So if I want them to look at this slide deck here, I can add this slide deck in there and hit add. And right now I've got it set up where students can view file. If I want them to be able to edit this file, I say students can edit file. Or if I want students to make a copy, if I want it to make a copy for each student, I could do that from right here. Now I will tell you this, if you do make a copy for each student, you can't go back and change that once you've assigned it. If you've assigned it, students can edit file, you can go back and change it between view file and edit file. But once you make a copy for each student, you can't go back and change that. If you don't want them to have a copy anymore, you would have to delete this assignment and then create a new assignment. But for the most part, when you create these assignments, you do have choice in the matter to go back in and edit anything that you do when you're creating this assignment. And then right over here, you can assign it to the classroom that you want it in. If you assign multiple classrooms, watch what happens to all students. Right now with all students, I can assign it to certain students, but if I assign it to multiple classrooms, what happened to all students there? I'm pretending like I'm hearing some of you say it's grayed out. You don't have the choice to assign it just to some students when you assign it to multiple classrooms. So what you could do, you could just assign it to the one classroom you want, and then you can import it from one classroom to another, this assignment, so you don't have to recreate it every time. Again, here's where I can assign points, put a due date. I can put the topic here, and I can, if I don't have a topic here, I can create a new topic. I can add a rubric or add the originality report. So again, if you want to know more about these, either Google it or take a look at our workshop from last week, or stay on. We can talk more about it here at the end. And then, so once I have this is what I want to assign. Do you see assign isn't highlighted here yet? Because I haven't given it a name. I have to give it a name before I can assign it. Do you see now I can assign it? So I can assign it right now if I want the kids to have it right now, or I can hit the down arrow, schedule it out, or save it as a draft. Now watch when I assign it to multiple classrooms, what's different up here? Again, I'm thinking you're saying the schedule is grayed out. So when you do assign multiple classrooms here, you do not have the ability to schedule it out. Again, you have to assign it to one class at a time to be able to schedule it. Again, some of these things, Google's listening to us, hopefully, with these changes on the back end, that we may see this come August. We may or may not. So, but we are constantly seeing changes. So that, again, could be pros and cons. You know, we don't have to wait for the latest version. You know, with Microsoft, I remember it being 2016 and we were still using 2010. We just didn't have the latest updates right away. Here, when Google pushes something out, they push it out, whether we like it or not at times. So that's creating an assignment here in Google Classroom. So just know the difference here with creating assignments, or, you know, creating a question, play around with that. And then here in Stream, know that in Stream, this is where you can, you know, post things, you can have students share things, they can answer questions as well here. They can have conversations here on the stream. And then also my stream, I've got it, anytime when I post something new, it comes on the stream. if you don't like any of that, if you click on this gear up here in the upper right-hand corner, here's where you have access to your stream. You can change it where students can post and comment. You can change it to where they can only comment, or you can take that totally off if you would like. And then here on classwork on the stream, I've got condensed notifications. If I want everything to show there in stream, I can show that. If I don't, if I want to hide the notifications, I can do that as well. So again, go up to that gear in each classroom to see what you can manipulate and change within your classroom.
Lisa, could you show them how they can reuse the post?
Sure.
In Google Classroom? Some of them were asking about schedule. They were still on the scheduling assignments, and I mentioned that you could reuse the post, which isn't, I mean, it's not perfect, but that at least it's a way that you can reuse the post and then schedule separately for your separate classrooms.
Yeah, perfect, Elizabeth. So, Elizabeth, if you want to go ahead and take it over.
I am answering a few questions, private questions in the chat. So if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for saying that. So under create, reuse post. So if I know that the state capitals that I had going out to this class, I can click on that and I can reuse it. And then all I'm clicking on was reusing. That post will then should open up a new tab here for me. And I think there we go, slowly but surely. And here it brings up, hey, here's what I've used before. It attached the YouTube video I had attached. It attached the Google Doc I had attached to it. I had make a copy for each student on that previous post. I can change it here because I haven't actually posted this to this class to these students. I can change it under topic, put due date, points, assign it to only certain students, and I have everything there. So that was under reusing the post. All I had to do was click on some boxes. If I like everything how I have it, I can just assign it. But anytime when I reuse a post, it doesn't have a due date, I'll have to put a new due date there. So yeah, great question. So under create there also, you can just put a question. And as you can see, I put a question. And here it does show you if anybody's answered it, assigned it, and graded. So right now everyone's turned it in and I've graded it. If you look at view question, here's what's your favorite food? Blake says pizza, Lisa says chicken strips. So you can see the question. So you can just ask a question and grade, a quick question there and post it. So again, Google Classroom in our previous workshops, it's been 2.5 hours. Again, I'm just trying to go over a few things that, to prep you for the exam to be aware of. So if you don't currently use Google Classroom, or if Google Classroom's turned off, some school districts don't use Google Classroom, it's turned off, let us know and we'll try to help you go over a few more things for the exam so that you're aware of it. So it looks like then on Wednesday, I will go over Google Forms and Sheets, Gmail, Calendar. I'll talk more about Google Meets, YouTube and Google Sites and Google Groups and Google Keep. So again, this is a lot to take in. You can always go back to, you have the link to the YouTube channel to access some of these workshops. I hadn't been recording them until people had started to ask, hey, I want to go back to look at some things. So they're out there. And hopefully you can find what you're looking for. If not, Google it and you might be able to find the answer as well. But they're under, that's all of my videos. I haven't posted all of my videos. So even if you upload videos to YouTube, you don't have to make them all public. So if I go to my YouTube studio, here's what I made public. So you can see the different workshops we've had. And I know, some of them are lengthy, so hopefully you'll just, fast forward to what you need or what you're looking for, if that helps. But again, with this workshop today and Wednesday, supposed to hopefully prepare you to kind of get you in a mindset for the exam, to let you know about some scenarios that, if you look at the Google Classroom scenario or the Google Drive or Docs scenario, it all lists just several steps there. And if you do have an opportunity to have 2 screens hooked up to one computer, you could have on one computer your directions and the other computer you doing the steps. If not, is it possible to do it all on one screen? It is. When I took both of my, or all of my exams, I did it all on my MacBook or my laptop, and I just had one screen. I didn't have 2 screens. I just had to click back and forth. I just had to click to make sure that I've done every step, because again, a computer is grading it. So there's an algorithm that's grading your exam. You don't have to make it look pretty. Just do step by step of what it's asking of you to do in the challenges. So I know I'm a few minutes ahead of schedule. I'm going to open it up if anybody has general questions on the exam or what you're most nervous about. And I know Elizabeth you guys have been keeping her busy here, putting questions in the chat. Appreciate, Elizabeth, all your help as well.
Oh, no problem.
Or Elizabeth, you want to talk about anything that you're seeing a lot of people asking questions on? And
no, I think that there was one question going through about Google Classroom and how teachers organize topics. And I have some teachers right now that are newer to Google Classroom, and with their younger students or students that don't have a lot of experience with Google Classroom, some of them use their topics with dates to organize the date of the assignment that it's assigned for that work for that day. Other teachers that may be more experienced, they oftentimes will use a topic as like a unit because the due dates will be right next to the assignments, or when they click on the assignments, they would have access to when they were due and assigned and things like that. So really what it comes down to in Google Classroom with topics is your own personal preference. And once you decide on however you're going to organize your topics, is to just kind of stick with it so your students don't get too confused. That's what I found with a lot of my teachers at various levels. We had another person ask about the Zoom URL, if it was going to be the exact same for Wednesday. That would be, I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, but you would have access to the new link in your calendar. Did they get a calendar invite, or did they get an email?
As long as they registered, here on slide 51, this registration link, it would have been in their email, and it's a different link.
Yeah, so it will be a different link for Wednesday.
Yeah. And again, some of you, if you've been with me last week, you've seen some overlap to today. This is a more condensed version. So again, if any of you are stressed out there over this material, either reach out to us or take time to go back and look at some of the videos. We do break it down and spend a lot longer time on some of these apps.
We have someone that has a question about how you animated slide 48. I'm not sure what 48 looks like.
Oh, yeah. So in Screencastify, you can create a GIF, or I've heard it pronounced GIF, but I say GIF because it stands for a graphical user interface. No, what is it? I don't know. I just went blank on the meaning, but you can create that in Screencastify. So I can walk you through that.
Graphics interchange format.
Thank you.
I had to Google it. I didn't know.
Okay, thank you. I knew, but I was wanting to say the user interface, and I knew that wasn't right. So say it again, Elizabeth.
Graphics interchange format.
There we go. So that's why I say GIF, but I hear some people say GIF. So you might hear it. But again, you can create that in Screencastify. Again, I'm sure there's other tools out there to do the same thing. So yeah, my internet right now is going very slow. So I'm gonna just not show you right now, but I can show you maybe after when we don't have as many people on, or I can show you on Wednesday, maybe first thing. For some reason, I find that's why I try to do these workshops in the morning, because morning time, my internet does not seem to lag, and seems like the closer I get to the afternoon, it does. Did I stop sharing my screen as well?
Yes. There's a question in the chat asking when you will have Friday's apps, extensions, and add-ons to be updated.
Hopefully by tomorrow for you to register, it should be there. If not, if you go to our events page, if it's not there, yeah, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, it'll be there. All right, well, I appreciate you guys being with us today. It is right at noon. Feel free, you can stay on if you would like. If you can, fill out that Google evaluation. And then if some of you feel confident and ready to take the exam, again, if you were with me for many of the workshops last week, feel free to fill out that Google voucher form and get it on the calendar to hopefully get your exam started and finished here within the next couple of months. So thanks for being with us, and we'll see you back, some of you back here on Wednesday.